Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description.
So, question of the day is, do we always have to work with spirits? So, what I mean by this is when we are working a ritual, the standard pagan ritual, one of the steps after casting your circle and whatnot is to invoke the god and goddess or invoke your patron deities or what have you. And then if you work along the same kinds of different things that I do, which I talk about on this channel all the time, I work a lot with the Simon Necronomicon, the 50 Names of Marduk, the spirits of the Nurgak, and I've also worked with the Goetic spirits as well. And, you know, one of the questions that, I was just surfing on Reddit just now was, do we always have to work with spirits? And the answer is no. Now, if you go with the spirit model of magic, then what we're talking about is when we interact with different spirits, it becomes this reciprocity of, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I do this for you, and then you do this for me. I give you an offering, and then you help me out with something. And maybe you don't exactly believe with, that spirits exist, or maybe you just kind of want to rely on personal power. If you're going with the spirit model, then, spirits exist and we interact with them, of course. But if you're going with something like, the energy model or the information model, then spirit or the psychological model too, then spirits can just be seen as like, you guys ever heard of like archetypes or basically if you look at any spirit description from the Goesha to the names Marduk to the Nurgak to other spirits, they all have different descriptors of what they're good at, what their personalities are like, what they can help you with, and things like that. And when we're reading those descriptors, if we're going with the psychological model or the information model or the energetic model, then we are psychological model wise, when we invoke that spirit, we are calling up those different attributes within us to then become more prominent. We are priming, is what it's called, for lack of a better term. I'm using an educational term, but I hope maybe I'll just, yeah, we'll just go with that here. So, priming is when, like, if you're going to take a test or you're going to learn something new, then you start to think about anything that you know about that particular subject or topic. So your brain gets kind of activated with familiar and similar things. So then it can take in new information and kind of put it in those boxes or categorize it or organize it in a certain way. And so when we're working with spirits and we invoke them, that list of attributes and whatnot that we talk about when we venerate them, because venerating a spirit and talking about their attributes is one of the things that goes along with even with evocations. You guys can actually learn a lot about this in my working with spirits class that I have on Udemy. But the idea is when we call up those different things, we're activating those different things within ourselves. So, if I'm looking for, to gain more knowledge and I work with the Goetic spirit Ronway, then what am I activating? I'm activating my brain's salivation for knowledge, right? If I want to, I don't know, work a little bit like love energy, love passion, blah, 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 and I invoke Ishtar or Aphrodite or whatever archetype of that one that you feel most venerated or most connected with, then Pix, what are you doing? Can you sit still for a minute? Um, Sorry, cat's going nuts. But when we do that, I'm calling up all the feelings of like love and passion and whatnot that are within me. So then that energy and those psychological associations that I then call up within myself is then used in that context in ritual with the spell work that I'm doing to then make those feelings, attributes, or what have you stronger, more prominent, more permanent for the ability to obtain a particular goal. So if we're not working with spirits, then what we're really doing is we're calling in that energy, or we're calling in those we're calling upon those archetypal personality traits and interests and what have you within our minds. And this is what allows the psychodrama of the ritual or the energetics of the ritual to then take on that flavor that could come from us or it could come from a particular spirit, depending on what you believe in or which angle you want to work your magic from. And then that is the source of inspiration and energetic flavor that is then used in magic in order to manifest what we want. So you got to ask yourself, do you like to work with spirits or don't you? Experiment a little bit. Experiment with the idea of this is an external spirit, or experiment with the idea of I am calling these energies up within myself, and then I am bringing them to the table, to the altar, for lack of a better term. Ha ha ha. And just see which one kind of fits with you. You might have a background with some other spiritual system, maybe one that you grew up with that might have put the idea of talking to a higher power, um, m- give it a bad taste in your mouth. And in this case, then go with this psychological model or energetic model. You're calling up those attributes, whether they be energetic from around you, you're calling in more courage, you're calling in more love, whatever it is, or you're calling that those archetypes and whatnot, those attributes, those emotions, those particular abilities up within yourself. So then it draws from that wellspring of, I know what courage sounds like. I know what courage feels like. I know what love sounds like. I know what love feels like. And then it brings that up within you and primes it for whatever you're doing. So do you always have to work with spirits? No, but it's good to have a frame of reference or a different lens to take with your magic rather than, well, I can't exactly work with spirits, so I don't believe in them, so I'm just going to read through all these steps and I'm still going to get what I want. That's not as enthusiastic as, oh, when I do this, it calls up these things within me, and then I bring that to the altar and I do my stuff and I get my results. See which one is a little bit more positive and makes more sense in your head, you know? So let me know what you think about this one. And when you're working with spirits and stuff, do you actually believe that you are working with them, or do you lean more on the energetic information or psychological side of things? Let me know. Good hunting.